For those of you that don't know me, my name's Dan Walters. My family and I have been attending Abide Church since March of last year, although Mom and Dad, before he went home, have been attending much longer. Last March, I rededicated my life to Christ, and last April, I was baptized again. However, that's not where this story gets good. You see, I was raised in a Christian home. I got saved and baptized as a kid. I went to church all my life. I didn't grow up with parents that drank alcohol, abused drugs, smoked, or did anything like that. Safe to say, I had a good life growing up. In high school, I got introduced to cigarettes and dipping tobacco. I started dipping off and on when I was about 17. From the time I was 18, I was doing it all the time. I was also introduced to alcohol in high school. At first, I only drank occasionally. It wasn't a big deal. I knew it was wrong, but come on, I wasn't an alcoholic. As the years went on, I continued to drink and use tobacco, still knowing it was wrong. I knew it was wrong because I had to lie to my parents and other adults. I had to hide it. I never considered myself an alcoholic, even though deep down, I knew I had a problem with it. I wasn't drinking all the time, but when I did, I couldn't stop drinking until it was all gone or until I was almost passed out. I guess I learned to control it over the years, but when I say control it, let's face it, alcohol was in control of me. I was just controlling how well I hid my problem or how people saw me. As I got older, I found more excuses to drink. I had a bad day, so I was going to drink that night. I had a good day. I was going to drink that night. I was tired, sad, happy, was in a good mood. It was a hot day outside, it was cold. It really didn't matter. I was going to drink that night. As we started having kids, and as they started getting old enough to understand, I knew that I didn't want them to see their dad as a drunk. Those thoughts and feelings just went away as the addiction took more and more control over me. For over 20 years, I drank and used tobacco nearly every day of my life. I tried several times over the years to quit dipping. I did have one semi-successful run after Granddad died for about a year, but I fell right back into it. I never tried to quit drinking, though. I never wanted to. I enjoyed it. I still didn't think I had a problem with it, though. Well, I wouldn't admit to myself that I did. I was ashamed to admit it. I felt that it would make me look weak or not in control. which as a police officer, those are two traits I couldn't afford to fill or be perceived as. It's ironic, working in a profession that practically promotes alcoholism and jokes about it just being a part of the job, just may have played a part in what helped save me. As I said last March, I rededicated my life to Christ. Went home that night and I prayed and asked God to help me quit dipping. I woke up the next day, I didn't have the desire for it anymore. Man, I was on fire for Christ. I was reading the Bible every day. I was praying. I was excited. My whole family and I even signed up to volunteer at church and join the A-team. Things were great. All except one. I was still drinking all the time. I was embarrassed because I would serve Sunday morning. I would go home and I would drink Sunday night. What was wrong with me? Why was I doing this? A few months later, one of the guys I work with, one of my best friends, asked me to go to Mighty Oaks. Mighty Oaks is a faith-based, peer-to-peer resiliency and recovery program for military and first responders. I agreed to go. I was even excited to go. Right up until the day before I left, I was looking for reasons to not go. But I got on the plane and I went. And man, I'm glad I did. God worked in me in a big way that week. That week was forced sobriety for me. It was the first week in a long time that I hadn't drank. But more importantly, that was the week I had to admit I was an alcoholic and I had to change. I had to quit drinking, but not just for me, for my family. I prayed and I asked God for help because I knew this was going to be hard. I came home and I decided to let my actions speak. I didn't want to make a big announcement. I didn't want to do the, hey, look at me thing. It's just not who I am. But after a while, I realized I had to do more than just quit drinking. I had to make amends. I had to apologize to my family. And I had to ask their forgiveness for choosing alcohol over them. And I had to tell them I was sorry for making alcohol more important in my life than I made them. And let me tell you, that was so much harder than it was to quit drinking. But I wasn't done there, though. I had to apologize to Pastor Dan and to Abide Church for breaking my promise as a volunteer that I would not drink in excess. You know that promise that a lot of us signed when we joined the A-team? Yeah. That was the second hardest thing I had to do. But I'm happy to stand here today tell you all that I'm 462 days sober and counting. Through simple obedience to God, we allow Him to work huge miracles in our lives. And I'm changed and better man for that. Thank you.